Hello there, I'm Azaria Tagaya and you're watching Nightline, the top stories. Prime Minister denies neglecting M40's welfare. And Thai Parliament picks Sretha Thavisin as next Prime Minister. Good morning. Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim rejected allegations that the government's targeted initiatives have been so focused on the country's bottom wage earners that it has neglected the middle income tier, the M40 group. Instead, the Prime Minister asserts that equal opportunities are given to all segments of the population. Dato' Sri Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, noted that it is worrisome that there exists a disconnect between the highest and lowest income groups after decades of independence. He gave the Maktab Rendah Sains Malaysia MRSM as an example where the benefits towards the hardcore poor are minimal.
Ataupun Bumi Putraism. Saya fikir dua-dua ini harus digabungkan sementara ini. Ya. Dia mesti ada meritokrasi, kalau tidak kita tidak akan angkat yang terbaik di kalangan kita.
In an interview with US broadcaster CNBC aired on Monday, Dato' Sri Anwar said affirmative action policies should extend from race-based to need-based. He added that it was not an issue of dismantling Malay rights and Bumiputra privileges, but focusing on areas which are important to them through affirmative action policies. The government will increase its grant allocation for the I-Tekad social finance program by 6 million ringgit to assist micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs, especially the B40 group. Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim said this will bring the overall I-Tekad aid for this year to 10 million ringgit, up from the 4 million ringgit allocated in Budget 2023. Speaking at the I-Tekad collaboration ceremony in the federal capital, the Prime Minister said the government is committed to eradicating national poverty and bridging the gap between the rich and the poor.
Cakap government bank negara tak perlu saya tambah 2-3 juta, nothing to them. I'm sure dengan keputusan catatan kejayaan satu, keduanya dengan andaian 20 bank yang daripada 11 jadi 20 tahun ini. Kemudian dengan andaian ada lagi dana tambahan daripada bank negara, maka saya boleh tambah daripada 4 jadi 10 juta untuk tahun ini.
Dato' Sri Anwar also called on more banking institutions in Malaysia to join the I-Tekad initiative in the near future. I-Tekad is a patron program created by the central bank with the aim of helping low-income micro-entrepreneurs strengthen financial management and business intelligence towards generating continuous income. Hence, he said the involvement of banking players is crucial to make the I-Tekad initiative a pillar of success for the Malaysian banking sector. The additional allocation, as announced by the Prime Minister, is expected to further empower eligible micro-entrepreneurs to achieve financial resilience, generate continuous income and create a sustainable value chain that would benefit the community.
The increase in allocation for I-Tekad would help spur the entrepreneurial activities among the low-income group. We have seen success stories from this initiative, as some of the participants are able to increase their sales and be able to employ workers to help them up in running their businesses. More importantly, the I-Tekad program will be the key driver for social upward mobility as they are able to improve their livelihood. The participation of financial institutions, which are heavily regulated and supervised by the Bank Negara Malaysia, will ensure the governance of such programs are well administered and properly maintained.
The cockpit voice recorder, CVR, of the aircraft that crashed near Shah Alam last Thursday will be sent to its manufacturer in Florida in the United States for further analysis. Transport Minister Anthony Loke Siu Fook said this was after analysis of the ill-fated plane CVR in Singapore had also failed to extract the data from its intact memory puck.
Jadi ada beberapa isu teknikal, ada kekangan yang tidak membenarkan ataupun tidak dapat mengeluarkan rakaman tersebut ataupun retrieve lah, bukan mengeluarkan, retrieve voice data tersebut. Jadi Ketua Biro akan balik ke Kuala Lumpur petang ini dan beliau akan memberikan penjelasan kepada saya dan tindakan susulan ialah kita mungkin perlu hantar memory card tersebut ke Florida untuk dianalisa.
Speaking after a function in Kuala Lumpur, Lok, when asked why the CBR's voice puck was sent overseas for analysis, said that this was to provide the victims' families with answers as quickly as possible. He stressed that it is not about national pride, but about ensuring it is done as quickly as possible, as the priority now is getting the data and answers as quickly as possible to the victims' families. Johor has the potential to become a downstream pepper hub due to its strategic location. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadilah Yusof said the state's proximity to Singapore means it has a wide market, especially in the food processing industry, which is a potential market for pepper. Datuk Sri Fadilah, who is also the Plantation and Commodities Minister, said what is important is that downstream products must be produced in Johor so that they become Johor products and can be exported abroad. He said in Malaysia, the biggest producer of pepper is Sarawak, but in the peninsula, Johor has the most smallholders, thus creating potential for it to be a hub for the downstream pepper industry.
Dan ini diharapkan akan dapat membantu meningkatkan produktiviti. Dan bila produktiviti ini meningkat, sudah pasti pendapatan pengembang kecil kita akan meningkat. Dan ini juga akan memberi hasilan pada negara kita dari segi ekspornya dan sebagainya.
He said this to reporters after officiating the Pepper Industry Entrepreneurs Empowerment Program in Senai, Johor. Malaysia is the 5th largest producer of pepper in the world after Vietnam, Brazil, India and Indonesia, with the country recording an export value of 181.4 million ringgit in 2022 compared to 153.5 million ringgit in 2021. Until June 2023, the country's pepper export was valued at 65.94 million ringgit.
Suspek utama kes pembunuhan Ketua Jururawat Hospital Serdang Siti Kharina Muhammad Kamarudin direman selama 7 hari.
Si mati telah mati akibat kesan kelar yang ada pada lehernya.
Mangsa ditemui terbaring dalam bilik di atas lantai serta berlumuran darah.
Fail Mahkamah, Rabu 9 malam di TV3 dan stream secara HD ditonton.
The Health Ministry is investigating the source of pertussis, or whooping cough case involving a mother and her 2 children in Kuala Lumpur, Pahang. Its Minister, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, said the case was believed to have started with the mother.
Okay, sebenarnya yang itu kita tengah siasat punca daripada keluarga yang mendapat sakit batuk kokol itulah atau pertussis ya. Penemuan awal kemungkinan ia bermula dari ibunya tapi itu pun kita kena lakukan siasatan lanjut.
She was speaking to reporters after witnessing the signing of a Note of Understanding (NOU) for strategic cooperation between the Health Ministry and the Local Government Development Ministry. Dr. Zaliha was responding to a question on the latest update on the pertussis case in Kuala Lumpur and whether the 3 infected had been vaccinated against the disease. She said an official statement on the case would be issued by Health Director General Datuk Dr. Muhammad Razi Abu Hassan. A social media post went viral on Monday urging the public not to go to or meet people in Pekan and Rompin following reports of a pertussis outbreak. The post claimed that the outbreak was worse than COVID-19 and urged everyone to wear a mask to avoid being infected. Earlier on Tuesday, Pahang Health Department Director Datuk Dr. Nur Azimi Yunus dismissed the viral post, saying that the case was under control and that there had been no new cases reported after examinations were conducted on the patient's close contacts. Some 80 foreign children currently at immigration depots will be relocated to a more conducive care centre under an upcoming pilot project. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the children will be relocated together with their parents or guardians.
Ini akan menjadi permulaan kepada usaha berterusan kami untuk mengeluarkan kanak-kanak dalam depo immigration supaya penjagaan yang lebih manusiawi dapat diberikan. Suasana lebih kondusif, penjagaan yang lebih baik berbanding dengan tempat sekarang yang mereka ditempatkan.
Datuk Sri Saifuddin added that the children are currently in temporary detention depots in Semenyih, Bukit Jalil and KLIA. He stated the location for the new centre has been identified and works on the centre are ongoing, with essential logistical tasks remaining such as water, electricity supply and provision of bedding. All All civil servants are now allowed to wear batik clothing during the whole work week and not just on Thursdays. According to Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Ahmad, the Cabinet had agreed to the move in view of the climate and the need for energy efficiency in government offices. The decision made had taken into account the climate in the country and also the government's commitment to achieve its aspiration for net zero greenhouse gas emissions as early as 2050 by reducing the carbon footprint from the energy consumption practices. In a statement, Nik said the Cabinet agreed to allow all civil servants to wear batik to make it comfortable and easier for them to get used to the change in temperature in government premises. He said the initiative would help Tagaya save electricity and improve energy efficiency while boosting the batik industry. He also said he will propose extending the dress code to MPs and senators in the two houses of Parliament. Former Thai Prime Minister sentenced to 8 years in jail. This and more from the Foreign Front after this breather. With news from the Foreign Front, Thailand's lawmakers on Tuesday approved Tycoon Srettha Thavisin as the kingdom's new Prime Minister, paving the way for a new coalition government and an end to weeks of uncertainty and a political stalemate. Srettha easily secured a majority across the two houses of Parliament to be approved as the nation's 30th Prime Minister, despite his Pheu Thai party coming second in the May election. The 61-year-old sailed past the 374 votes needed for a majority of elected lower house MPs and senators appointed by the last junta. Pheu Thai's coalition of around a dozen parties commands 314 of the lower house's 500 seats. However, it has stirred controversy by welcoming former foes into the partnership, including the pro-military parties of former coup makers that ousted Pheu Thai's last Prime Minister. In the meantime, former Thai Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra was swiftly jailed after he landed back home in Thailand on Tuesday after 15 years in self-imposed exile. The 74-year-old landed shortly after 9 a.m. at the VIP terminal of Bangkok's Don Muang Airport. He paid his respects to the king on his arrival and shortly afterwards was taken in a police convoy to the Supreme Court, where he was charged with abuse of power and several other outstanding criminal offences. The former premier was later taken to a Bangkok prison, with the Supreme Court releasing a statement saying he would serve a total of 8 years in jail. Thaksin, however, can submit a petition for a royal pardon in the coming days, an outcome experts deem necessary to end the two-decade political rift between the Shinawatra faction and the royalist military elite. Cambodia's National Assembly has officially elected Military General Hun Manet as Prime Minister, completing a historic transfer of power in a fast-changing country led by his father, Hun Sen, for nearly 4 decades. Hun Manet was elected by all 123 members of Cambodia's lower house of parliament, who were present for the vote on Tuesday. It was believed that Hun Manet's first months in office will be watched by major powers for signs of whether he favours a more liberal approach and improvements in Cambodia's strained ties with the West, West or plans to keep the authoritarian status quo of his father and remain in China's sphere of influence. Last month, Hun Sen announced that his son would replace him as Prime Minister shortly after claiming victory for his party in the widely criticized national elections that excluded any serious electoral competition. The 71-year-old, however, pledged that he is not moving far from the levers of power, saying he will become President of the Senate and continue to serve in other positions for at least another decade.
Pembunuhan yang paling kejam yang pernah berlaku di negara ini lah.
Dia diseksa. Itu yang saya tak boleh nak lupa.
Keadaan masa tu nampak kelam kabut sikit.
Memang sedih. Kes itu menggemparkan negara.
Ada sesuatu sedang berlaku di sana lah. Kita nak cari kebenaran.
Menyoroti kes-kes yang pernah menggemparkan dunia dan Malaysia, segalanya akan dirungkai dalam Fail Mahkamah setiap Rabu 9 malam. Terbaharu di TV3 dan stream sekarang ditonton.
And you're watching Money Matters.
Money Matters is going to be back after the break.
Don't go away, because Money Matters will be back shortly.
For the past half an hour, you've been with us on Money Matters.
I'm Zahir Kelvin Abdullah, and this is Money Matters.
Money Matters with Zahir Kelvin Abdullah, Azaria Tagaya, Muhammad Ahmad Hamdan, and Anita Wu, Saturdays at 5 p.m. only on TV3.
Back on Nightline with sports, tennis and the 2023 Winston-Salem Open. Great Britain's Jack Draper made a winning return to the ATP Tour, beating Portugal's Nuno Borges as he continues his comeback from a shoulder injury. In his first ATP tournament back, Draper managed to secure a routine 6-3, 6-1 victory over world number 79 Borges, wrapping things up in just 55 minutes. Draper will next face Dutch second seed Talon Griekspoor, who is ranked 25th in the world in the second round on Tuesday. Joining Draper is Frenchman Richard Gasquet. Earlier, the number 12 seed won against Swiss Marc-André Huesler 6-4, 6-4 to reach the last 16. Gasquet, ranked number 57, will face the winner of the match between Frenchman Arthur Fils, the number 7 seed, and American Brandon Nakashima next. Also through to the next round was Marton Fucsovics. This after the 14th-seeded Hungarian beat China's Zhizhen Zhang 6-4, 6-2 on Monday. Fucsovics, ranked number 58, will face the winner of the match between Frenchman Benjamin Bonzi and American Sebastian Korda, the number 3 seed, next. On to badminton. Independent mixed doubles Tan Kian Meng, Lai Pei-Jing have not had an easy season, but they will hope things that change at the World Championships in Copenhagen. On Tuesday, the former Korea Open champions cruised into the second round after thumping the Maldives' Hussein Zayan Shahid, Fatimat Nabaha Abdul Razak. Kian Meng, Pei-Jing will face Thailand's Supak Jomko Supisara, Pao Sampran next. In the women's doubles category, independent pair Vivian Hu, Lim Chiu Sin also booked a spot in the second round by defeating Mos Ju Tilda Su of Sweden. Meanwhile, two-time former world junior champion Goh Jin-wei suffered a setback after crashing out in the second round on Monday. Jin-wei lost 12-21, 14-21 to world number 1 An Si-young of South Korea. We're back. Only one match took place on Tuesday night. At the Bandaraya Stadium in Pulau Pinang, midfielder Fazrul Daniel provided the opener for Kedah Darul Aman KDA FC in the 7th minute before Penang FC levelled the score 25 minutes later thanks to Hassan Ali Saad. Both sides pushed hard for a winner, but the visitors emerged victorious after Nigerian Moses Jonah struck the winner during extra time, sealing a 2-1 win for the Red Eagles. With the win, KDA FC have now collected 43 points from 20 matches, while Penang FC are in 10th spot with 19 points. When we return, 10 injured in passenger boat blast in Mersing. Don't go away. Nightline continues. In Johor, 10 people, including 2 crew members, were injured when an explosion occurred on the boat they were in on Tuesday. Mersing Zone Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA Maritime Commissioner Suhaizan Saadin said the incident took place 7.6 nautical miles southeast of Pulau Pemanggil. Suhaizan said the MMEA deployed its Perkasa 44 patrol boat, which was on routine ops JAXA rounds, to the scene upon receiving a call from the Mersing Zone Maritime Operations Centre. An on-site inspection found 2 female passengers with severe leg injuries, while 4 other women suffered minor leg wounds. A male passenger was severely hurt on his legs and waist, and another man also suffered leg injuries. The 2 crewmen had light injuries. He said the female passengers were Zila Matlazam, aged 34, Nur Anis Shuhaiza Abdul Shukur, aged 28, Razila Effendi, aged 32, Nur Azimah Muhammad Yasser, aged 48, Diana Safaruddin, aged 30, and Siti Hazarina Sheikh Abu Bakar, aged 46. The 2 men were identified as Muhammad Haznizam Has, 31, and Azrul Azhar Yaman, aged 29, while the injured boat captain was Muhammad Fazli Muhammad, aged 27, and his assistant Muhammad Arif Ramadan Hazrani, aged 30. All victims received preliminary treatment before they were transferred to a patrol boat and boats belonging to local fishermen who were nearby. The victims were sent to Hospital Mersing for further treatment. The MMEA is still investigating the cause of the explosion. A former soldier was sentenced to death by the Seremban High Court after he was found guilty of causing the death of his daughter 5 years ago. Judge Datin Rohani Ismail handed out the sentence to 41-year-old Muhammad Abdullah Muhammad after the defence failed to raise reasonable doubt on the charge brought against the accused. According to the charge sheet, Muhammad had committed murder by causing the death of Nur Aina Nabiha, who was 9 years old at the time, at the home of the accused in Taman Vista Jaya, Port Dickson on January 31st, 2018. The charge, framed under Section 302 of the Penal Code and read together with Section 34 of the same code, provides for the mandatory death penalty if convicted. Earlier, the prosecution had submitted that the man's cruel actions had caused his daughter to sustain severe injuries, resulting in her death. There were 32 visible multiple bruises and numerous internal injuries on the victim, especially on her head, neck and abdomen. The autopsy also showed internal hemorrhaging as a result of trauma to the liver, pancreas and kidneys. 19 prosecution witnesses testified throughout the trial, which started in 2018. A security guard has been sentenced to 30 months jail by the Kanga Magistrates Court for committing mischief by using firecrackers and possession of explosives, resulting in a blast in front of a school in Padang Besar last week. Magistrate Ana Rozana Muhammad Noor handed down the sentence on 42-year-old Hapisal Saad, who pleaded guilty to both charges. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail for committing mischief and 12 months in jail for possession of explosives, to be served concurrently from the date of his arrest on August 16th. On the first count, he was charged under Section 427 of the Penal Code with setting off homemade firecrackers and damaging a tent belonging to SK Padang Besar Utara at 4:50 a.m. on August 16th. On the second count, he was charged under Section 8 of the Explosives Act with possession of explosives, namely 100 bola besar firecrackers and a box of thunderclap firecrackers. Earlier in the proceedings, he was sentenced to 4 months in prison after he pleaded guilty to self-administration of amphetamine and methamphetamine at the Narcotics Crime Investigation Department of the Padang Besar District Police Headquarters on June 30th. In the incident last Wednesday, an explosion was reported to have occurred outside the school fence of SK Padang Besar Utara in the wee hours of the morning, believed to have been caused by a homemade explosive device made from metal pipes. And before we end the bulletin, here's a story on Papan, once a thriving mining town in Perak, but now dotted with abandoned shop lots and monuments. But its residents are hoping that the rich history of Papan will unlock the door to its revival. FMT's Tevia Ragu discovers the allure of Papan.
Have you ever dreamt of experiencing the country's rich history firsthand? The quiet town of Papan, located in the heart of Perak, is your gateway to Malaysia's past. Today, Papan may seem quiet, but this quaint town was once home to over 2,000 residents. To learn more about its history, FMT Lifestyle visits the Papan Heritage Gallery to meet with Jackie Chu Seng Leong, head of the Papan Heritage Conservation Group. Contrary to its name, Papan's roots to the timber industry are debatable. Instead, this town was one of the earliest tin mining settlements in the Kinta Valley, attracting migrants from all over.
So about this 20-30 years, Papan is one of the busiest towns in the Kinta Valley.
But as the demand for tin dwindled across Malaya in the early 1900s, Papan experienced a sharp decline in both population and commercial activity. Although many of the buildings in Papan are worn down, several monuments dating back more than a century still stand strong. Perched on a slight hill is the Grand Istana Raja Bila, once the town's administrative house, which was completed in 1896 by local chief Raja Bila. And nearby stands Masjid Lama Papan, one of the oldest mosques in Perak, which was completed in 1888.
Papan is so rich of history, so many things that people like to see. I myself love Papan. Why? Because of all the, I say, the fake away history feeling, all the remnants, old buildings feeling that's you cannot find anywhere. So that's why I say, why don't we try to revive this old town?
In fact, it is the old folks who still live here who largely help with their conservation efforts, as many of the artifacts in the Papan Heritage Gallery were donated by them. One such person is 88-year-old Lau Chuen Yao, who has lived in the town for the past 70 years. With the dedication of the Papan Heritage Conservation Group, this near-forgotten town has been given a new breath of life. So don't miss the opportunity to visit Papan on your next trip to Perak and embark on a journey through time. Tevia Ragu, FMT Lifestyle for Nightline.
Nightline this time around, let's take a look at some of the world's best mountain bikers descend on the Green Hill Bike Park in Germany to show off their skills on the Swatch 9's course. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching and we'll see you later.